Theory of consumer behavior. Rational behavior is the assumption that the consumer tries to use his or her money income to derive the greatest satisfaction from it. Each consumer has clear-cut preferences for certain goods and services available in the market. They have some idea of how much marginal utility they might get from purchasing and consuming additional units. Budget constraint. At any point in time, the consumer has a limited, fixed amount of money to spend. Every good has a price, and prices are unaffected by amounts purchased by the consumer. Goods and services have prices and are scarce relative to the demand for them. Utility maximizing rule. Consumer equilibrium. A consumer is in equilibrium when utility is balanced per dollar at the margin. To maximize satisfaction, the consumer should allocate his or her money income such that the last dollar spent on each product yields the same amount of extra or marginal utility. When this is true, there is no incentive to alter the expenditure pattern unless tastes, income, or prices change. When using the utility maximizing rule, it's important to express the marginal utility of the good as marginal utility per dollar spent, since the two goods probably have different prices. Therefore, we can't just compare utilities, otherwise it's like comparing apples to oranges. So we have to find the marginal utility per dollar by dividing the marginal utility of the good by the price. And that's the formula. Marginal utility of product A over the price of A should be equal to the marginal utility of product B divided by the price of B. Let's look at a numerical example. It is assumed in this table that the amount of marginal utility received from additional units of each of the two products is independent of the quantity of the other product. For example, the marginal utility schedule for apples is independent of the number of oranges obtained by the consumer. When determining whether to buy the apples or oranges, we will compare the marginal utility per dollar. So to see how the marginal utility per dollar rule works, we must put the marginal utility information as a per dollar spent basis, as we've done here in columns 2B and 3B. So we're going to refer to the utility maximizing rule as it relates to the decision-making process. This illustration here shows how consumers must choose among alternative goods with their limited money incomes. As long as one good provides more utility per dollar than another, the consumer will buy more of the first good. As more of the first product is bought, its marginal utility diminishes until the amount of marginal utility per dollar just equals that of the other product. This table summarizes the step-by-step decision-making process the rational consumer will pursue to reach the utility maximizing combination. The algebraic statement of this utility maximizing state is that the consumer will allocate income in such a way that the marginal utility of apples divided by the price of apples is equal to the marginal utility of oranges divided by the price of oranges. And we refer here to the data from the previous slide. Our key point from this presentation is deriving the demand curve. That's our key point. At a price of $2, the consumer represented by the data in the table maximizes utility by purchasing 4 oranges. The decline in the price of oranges to $1 disrupts the consumer's initial utility maximizing equilibrium. The consumer restores equilibrium by purchasing 6 rather than 4 oranges. Thus, a simple price-quantity schedule emerges, which creates 2 points on a downward sloping demand curve.